Today, something big is shaking the financial world, and you'll want to hear every word until the end. The Iraqi dinar has surged past the $30 mark. Yes, you heard that right. A number that for years was nothing more than a distant dream, whispered in online forums and debated in coffee shops across Baghdad and beyond. For so long, people have been told it would never happen. Some laughed at the very idea, others quietly kept the faith, holding on to their notes and waiting for the day the world would change. And now in 2025, that moment has arrived. This is more than just a currency update. This is history unfolding in real time. The big question on everyone's mind is simple. How high could it be? Next, could 5 even be possible? Today, we're diving deep into what's happening, why it matters, and what could come next for the dinar and for you. For years, the Iraqi dinar was treated like an afterthought in the currency world. People outside of Iraq barely noticed it. Inside Iraq, it was simply a part of daily life, but without the kind of global respect that stronger currencies enjoyed. Rumors about a big revaluation floated around for over a decade, but each time, reality seemed to fall short. Skeptics called it a scam, and investors were told they were chasing dreams. Yet behind the scenes, Iraq's economy was evolving, oil revenues were increasing, and political stability, while far from perfect, was slowly improving. Now with the dinar breaking the $3 barrier, it's forcing everyone, from small-time investors to global banks, to take a second look. This isn't just a small shift in value, it's a massive jump that changes Iraq's position on the global financial stage. And when a currency jumps like this, the ripple effects spread fast. Imagine this: you check the currency board at your local exchange and there it is, IQD at over $3 per unit. You'd probably blink, maybe even ask the teller to confirm it twice. That's because this number doesn't just look high, it feels like it shouldn't even be possible. But here we are. For those who bought dinar years ago, perhaps even decades, this is the moment they've been waiting for. People who once held stacks of IQD worth a few $100s are suddenly seeing thousands in potential value. And it's not just about making money, it's about being proven right after years of doubt. The dinar crossing $3 sends a message that Iraq's economy is gaining strength, that its currency is no longer a hidden underdog but a contender among the world's elite. And if it can hit 3, why not higher? That question is now sparking endless debates. This milestone puts the Iraqi dinar into a rare category. Only a handful of currencies in the world trade at over $3 against the US dollar, and most belong to wealthy, stable nations with strong exports and controlled supply. So how did Iraq get here? Experts point to multiple factors: increasing oil production, expanding trade agreements, better fiscal management, and a more disciplined approach to foreign reserves. But there's also a wave of speculation driving momentum. As soon as $3 was crossed, investors started wondering if this was just the beginning. We've already heard predictions ranging from a modest climb to 3.50s all the way to bold forecasts of $5 within a few years. No one knows for sure, but history shows that once a currency gains global respect, it can sustain or even grow if the fundamentals stay strong, and that's exactly what believers in the dinar are counting on. Inside Iraq, the impact could be life-changing. A stronger currency means greater buying power for ordinary citizens. Groceries, fuel, and imported goods could become more affordable. Businesses could expand with cheaper access to international products and services. Trade deals could shift dramatically in Iraq's favor, making it a more attractive partner for global investors. Imagine the psychological boost that has spent years rebuilding from conflict and economic hardship. Suddenly, the currency in your pocket is worth more than that of most of your neighbors. This kind of change doesn't just affect bank accounts, it changes mindsets, it builds confidence, and confidence fuels growth. The dinar's rise could inspire a new wave of entrepreneurship and investment inside Iraq itself, setting the stage for sustained economic progress if the momentum holds. But of course, with big gains come big questions, and not all of them have easy answers. Skeptics remain vocal. They point out that currency values can be volatile, especially in countries that rely heavily on a single resource like oil. They warn that global economic shifts, political instability, or even internal policy missteps could send the dinar back down just as quickly as it climbed. Some analysts suggest this could be a speculative bubble driven by hype rather than fundamentals. And while Iraq's government has made efforts to stabilize its economy, the challenges are far from over. The dinar's rise is impressive, yes, but can it be sustained? That's the question the cautious voices keep asking. These concerns aren't without merit. History is full of examples where currency spikes didn't last. Still, the believers argue that Iraq today is different from Iraq a decade ago. They see this as the start of a long-term shift, not just a lucky spike, and they're ready to bet on it. Adding fuel to the fire are whispers coming out of Iraq's banking sector. Reports are circulating that banks have been quietly testing exchange rate systems behind closed doors, sometimes late at night. Allegedly, special software updates are being installed to handle multiple rate scenarios without public disclosure. To the average person, that might sound routine, but in the world of currency speculation, it's a huge deal. Why prepare systems for a rate change if no rate change is coming? That's the question spreading like wildfire through online investor communities. Every leak, every anonymous tip, every piece of insider chatter is dissected for clues. Is this part of a larger plan to push the dinar even higher? Or is it just standard operational readiness? No one knows for sure, but the timing of these rumors, coming right after the $3 breakthrough, has only intensified the buzz. For global markets, Iraq's currency surge is more than just an interesting headline. The revaluation of a currency this dramatically can send ripples through trade relationships, investment flows, and even regional politics. Neighboring countries are watching closely, wondering how a stronger dinar will affect cross-border commerce. International oil buyers are recalculating contracts, as payments in a higher value dinar could impact costs. And in financial hubs like London, New York, and Dubai, currency desks are tracking every tick of the IQD-USD chart. Big players know that if the dinar keeps climbing, it could open the door to a new wave of Middle Eastern investment opportunities. The stakes are high, and that's why so many eyes, from small-town speculators to multinational corporations, are locked on this story right now. A currency's strength is never just about numbers, it's about influence, power, and perception. Back in Iraq, everyday conversations are changing. In coffee shops, at street markets, and inside offices, people are talking about the dinar's value like never before. Families are watching news segments with a mix of pride and curiosity. Business owners are calculating what the new exchange rate means for their costs and pricing. Even school teachers are using it as an example in economics lessons, explaining to students how currency strength affects imports, exports, and living standards. This is more than a financial event. It's becoming a cultural moment. For many Iraqis, it feels like a validation of their resilience, a sign that the sacrifices of rebuilding were worth it. And while they're excited, they're also cautious, knowing that the road ahead will require wise decisions from leaders and continued stability to make the most of this milestone. The debate over whether to cash out or hold is now front and center for dinar holders around the world. For some, the 3 milestone is more than enough. It's a life-changing return on an investment they never thought would pay off this big. They're ready to lock in profits, pay off debts, and enjoy the reward. But others see this as just the beginning. They believe the momentum could carry the dinar higher, maybe to fort, maybe even $5 or more. These investors are willing to take the risk, betting that patience will lead to an even bigger payout. The decision isn't easy. Markets can be unpredictable, and no one wants to watch their hard-earned gains evaporate if the value drops. At the same time, those who sell too soon may end up kicking themselves later if the currency continues to climb. This emotional push and pull is driving intense discussions everywhere, from private investor groups to online forums, making the dinar's rise not just a financial story, but a deeply personal one. Timing plays a huge role in why the story is capturing so much attention right now. The the global economy in 25 is filled with uncertainty. Inflation pressures digital currency growth, and shifting alliances between nations are reshaping the financial landscape almost monthly. In such a volatile environment, a sudden and dramatic currency surge like the dinars feels even more significant. It's as if the rules are changing in real time, and the old safe assumptions about which currencies will perform well no longer apply. For some analysts, this makes the dinar's rise even more believable because it fits into the broader trend of unexpected economic shifts. For others, it's exactly the reason to be cautious because unpredictable markets can turn on a dime. Either way, this moment is forcing people to re-examine how they think about currency values and the global financial order. And that makes it one of the most fascinating developments of the year. Internationally, Iraq's new currency strength is altering its image. For decades, Iraq was often seen in terms of conflict, instability, and economic struggle. But a currency trading above 3 sends a completely different message. It says Iraq is not just recovering, it's stepping into a position of influence. Global banks are watching, investors are listening, and political leaders are paying attention. Trade partners may renegotiate deals, seeing Iraq now as a stronger, more stable counterparty. Even the country's tourism sector could benefit, as increased confidence in the economy often leads to more visitors. This rebranding of Iraq on the world stage could be one of the most lasting impacts of the dinar's rise, extending far beyond exchange rates. A strong currency changes perceptions, and in international relations, perception often shapes opportunity. The question now is whether Iraq can sustain this momentum long enough to solidify its place among the world's strongest economies. Yet behind all the excitement, there's still a lot we don't know. No official government statement has confirmed any immediate plans for further revaluation, and the central bank has remained quiet on whether they expect the rate to climb higher. This silence is feeding speculation. Investors are analyzing every interview, every policy announcement, and even the body language of officials for clues. Some believe this is a deliberate strategy, that Iraq's financial leaders want to keep markets guessing to avoid panic buying or selling. Others think it's simply too early to make public commitments, especially with so much volatility in global markets. Whatever the reason, the lack of clarity means that the dinar's future trajectory remains a mystery. And in the world of finance, mystery is a powerful force. It keeps people watching, talking, and, most importantly for the market, participating. Adding another layer to the story are reports from international trading desks. Some traders say they've seen unusual patterns in dinar trading volume, with sudden spikes during odd hours when most markets are quiet. This kind of activity often suggests that big players are positioning themselves ahead of potential announcements. Could these be institutional investors quietly building positions before a further rise? Or are they simply reacting to the 3-double news by locking in quick profits? The truth is, in the opaque world of currency trading, motivations are rarely clear, but these movements are being tracked closely by anyone with a stake in the dinar's future. The patterns hint that behind the public excitement, serious money is in play, and serious money usually moves for a reason. If these trades continue, they could be an early signal of what's coming next, giving sharp-eyed observers a potential edge. One of the most compelling angles of this entire story is the underdog rise narrative. The dinar has been dismissed, ignored, and even mocked for years. It was seen as the kind of investment only dreamers or gamblers would make. And yet, here it is, trading above $3 and demanding global attention. People love a comeback story, and the dinar's rise offers that in spades. This is why the headlines aren't just showing up on financial websites, but also in mainstream media outlets. It's a feel-good moment for believers and a shock for skeptics. And if the dinar continues to rise, it will cement its place as one of the most surprising currency stories in modern history. Whether you're an investor, an economist, or just someone watching from the sidelines, it's hard not to be intrigued by the idea that the currency everyone doubted might actually be the one rewriting the rules. For everyday Iraqis, The conversation is shifting from if to how. How will this change their personal finances? How will it affect prices, jobs, and opportunities? Many are already noticing changes: imported goods becoming more affordable, foreign travel looking less expensive, and businesses showing more interest in international partnerships. For those who lived through years of economic hardship, this is a refreshing change, but there's also a cautious awareness that exchange rate gains need to be backed by long-term economic policy. Iraq's leadership will face the challenge of ensuring that the dinar's strength translates into real improvements in quality of life. If they can manage that, the currency's rise will be remembered not just as a market event, but as a turning point in the nation's history. That's a big if, but it's one that people are now daring to believe might be possible. Speculation about the dinar's potential future value is now running wild. Some seasoned analysts are setting conservative expectations, saying the currency might stabilize around 3 to 3.50 for the foreseeable future. Others, more bullish, predict it could soar to 4 or 5 if oil prices stay high and Iraq continues to strengthen its economic position. A few extreme optimists even talk about the dinar challenging the Kuwaiti dinar, which is currently the world's highest valued currency. While those predictions might seem far-fetched, it's worth remembering that a year ago, $3 would have sounded far-fetched too. That's the nature of markets. What seems impossible today can become reality tomorrow under the right conditions. The uncertainty is part of what makes this story so gripping, and it's why people are following it as closely as they would a championship game in the final minutes. So here we are in 2025, looking at a number on the exchange board that once felt like pure fantasy, over $3 per Iraqi dinar. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or just an interested observer, there's no denying that this is a moment worth paying attention to. The implications reach from Baghdad to Wall Street, from oil markets to living rooms across Iraq. The big question, how high could it go, remains unanswered. Could we see 4? Could we see 5? Or will the market settle here before the next big move? No one can say for certain. But what's clear is that the dinar's story is far from over. The next chapter could bring even more surprises, and for those who have been watching and waiting, this is the kind of drama that keeps you glued to the screen. Stay tuned, because in the unpredictable world of currencies, the next headline might be even bigger than this one.